Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Odyssey Recaps, just the tea edition. Today we are recapping book 13, titled by Emily Wilson as Two Tricksters. We last left Odysseus trauma dumping on the Phaeacians about his struggles in between being trapped on islands with hot goddesses. He yet again ends his story super abruptly, and the Phaeacian king is like, OMG, Odysseus, you've been through so much, you poor, sexy man. We're gonna help you. And then he turns to the rest of his court and is like, alright, guys, this man needs treasure and he needs it stat. Go home and bring me piles of treasure and gold. And when the gathered nobles start grumbling about, the loss of their money, he goes, oh, don't worry. I'll make sure that we tax the poor so you nobles don't actually have to lose any money. We'll just do like an enforced community GoFundMe for this man who definitely isn't the main cause of all of his own problems. The nobles are a lot happier with that, and they head off to gather their treasure. The king orders one more sacrifice / beachside barbecue to send Odysseus off in style. And Odysseus is like, thanks, guys. It's been real, and this barbecue is super nice, but can we maybe go now? My hot wife and sad son are waiting for me. Hopefully. As soon as the king puts down his red solo cup of wine, Odysseus is ready and just jumps right on that ship. And they pour one final cup of wine out for the gods, and then they finally set sail. Odysseus is sleepy from all the meat and wine, so the crew make him a little bed on the deck and he sleeps while the magical ship just zooms him back home like a magical bullet train. But when they get to Ithaca, all the sailors are like, oh, he's so cute when he sleeps. Let's not wake him up. So they carry him off the ship and they gently put him in the sand and they stack all of his treasure underneath an olive tree in the hopes that Athena would protect it. And then they give him a little kiss on his forehead and they take off back home. Good deed done. Unfortunately for the Phaeacians, the saying, no good deed goes unpunished, is true, because Poseidon is pissed. I mean, when is he not, honestly? He wasn't done punishing Odysseus for blinding his Cyclops son yet, so he goes whining to Zeus and is like, those barbecuing bitches helped Odysseus get home too fast. Now I can't even waterboard him anymore. And Zeus is like, that does seem unfair. Why don't you punish them? You can do it. They're your people. And Poseidon is way too into it. He is thrilled. He's all like, finally, I've been wanting to punish them for ages, even though they're my descendants. Whatever, I'm mega hyped. I'm gonna smash their island with a mountain. Mwahahaha. And Zeus is like, Poseidon, that is a terrible idea. You should really torture them a bit first. Maybe turn the ship into stone in front of them when it's coming back home, to really traumatize them and driving your message, whatever that is. Poseidon loves this idea, so he heads off and waits for the ship to come flying towards the harbor, and then, bam, he turns it into stone. The Phaeacians are all horrified and screaming, but the king is like, oh yeah, my dad said this exact thing would happen one day if we kept helping strangers, because Poseidon is famously anti-stranger. That's where we get our xenophobia from, I guess. Bit odd though, he also said Poseidon would drop a mountain on us and cut us off from the rest of the world. Maybe one more sacrifice / beachside barbecue would convince Poseidon to let us go, unmountained. Also, we're definitely never helping strangers ever again. We have learned our lesson. By the way, did I mention taxes are getting raised this year? Anyone? And that is where we leave the Phaeacians. We never return to them, so let's just hope that, that extra credit beach barbecue sacrifice worked out and they didn't get, mountain smashed. Anyway, we leave them. We don't care. We cut back to Odysseus snoozing on the beach, and Athena comes along and is like, I have got to play one more prank on this guy. So she makes the land get covered in a magical mist so he can't recognize his own home, and then she transforms herself so that she can cosplay a shepherd boy, and then she waits for Odysseus to wake up. Odysseus does wake up, and he's like, ugh, those freaking Phaeacians have left me on some random beach. Those bastards. I bet they stole my gold, too. Which, 12 hours ago, it was their gold. But, whatever. He finds the gold and treasure, and he's like, okay, maybe they're not thieves, but they're still bastards. Who knows what savage and violent land they've stranded me on? And that's when Athena comes up to him, and she's like, hey. And Odysseus is like, OMG, a friend. Hey, friend. I'm so glad to see a human person and not a bloodthirsty giant or some kind of crazy sea monster. Can you please help me protect my treasure and myself? I'm so weak and sad. Also, where are we? And Athena, in disguise, is like, lol, you must be dumb or from really far away, because obviously this is Ithaca, a land of rough and tough men with lots of wine and rain and some really sexy goats. Now, inside, Odysseus is like, OMG, finally, I'm home. But because he is in fact not dumb, he decides to pretend to be someone else to gather intel before he reveals himself. Now, this is a smart plan because keep in mind that while he is the king of Ithaca, he also was supposed to be back at least 9 years ago with a fleet of ships and like a lot of Ithacan men that he took with him and sort of lost. So, not everyone's going to be thrilled he's back. So, probably a good move to lie low and keep his identity hidden for a bit. Smart, right? But the lie this man chooses to tell is just unhinged and wildly convoluted. It is insane. Like, what do they put in those sacrificial barbecue red Solo cups? Because Zeus Almighty. So this man tells Athena that he's from Crete and super rich, but he had to leave half his fortune to his kids because he was exiled from Crete because there was this guy who was the son of the king, like a prince, and also he was a champion sprinter. Anyway, Odysseus had to murder him because the king asked fake Odysseus to come serve him at Troy, but fake Odysseus refused and was like, I'm gonna lead my own troops. So he finds troops somewhere and takes them to Troy and steals a bunch of loot. But then the sprinting prince wants to steal his loot, and so fake Odysseus and a friend of his decide to hide on the road when the stealing sprinting prince was coming home, like late at night, maybe from a party, we don't know. And Odysseus and the friend just jump out and murder the sprinting prince with a bronze sword, and then he exiles himself to a different country where he gives them some of his loot, and then they were taking him to Pylos so he could do some more self-imposed exiling, but then this huge storm comes off and they're blown off course and they come here to Ithaca instead, and they're all really tired from the storm, so they all laid down to sleep. But when the others woke up first, they decided to just leave him there so they could go somewhere else. So yeah, that's the very confusing story he decides to tell this random shepherd. I mean, I maybe wouldn't have used the word murder so many times or made up something quite so insane. But hey, this is why Odysseus is the Lord of Lies and I am not. Anyway, Athena is thrilled with this. She, like Rihanna, loves it when he lies. She turns herself back into a woman in front of him and is like, you are so smart and so sneaky. It's just the best. OMG, we are so similar. It is crazy. I'm Athena, by the way. I've been watching over you for ages. The Phaeacians looked after you because of me, and now I'm going to help you and get home and get all the rest of the way home. But bro, it's not going to be easy, and you cannot tell anyone who you are. This all has to be done on the down low, all right? Odysseus is still wary, which is smart around Greek gods, and is like, Athena, yeah, you've been so helpful. You definitely helped me in Troy all those many, many, many years ago. But where have you been since then? I've been on the struggle ship for a while now, and I'm glad you say this is Ithaca, but it does not look like I remember, and I'm low-key worried you're just tricking me for the lulz. Athena is just delighted again, and it's like, Odysseus, this is why I love you. You're so suspicious. We are just so similar, and you're so smart and focused. A normal man would have been all like, where's my hot wife and sad son? But you're like, is it a trap? And wait, let me test my wife in secret before I say hi. Which, side note, Odysseus did not tell her he was going to do, but okay. Anyway, Athena is like, do not worry, babe. Your wife is miserable. She cries 24/7. She's still loyal to you. And obs, I would have loved to have gotten you home ASAP, but my dad, Zeus, and my uncle Poseidon were big mad at you. And I just had to let them torch you just a little bit first. You get it. I mean, you did blind Poseidon's kids, so kind of fair. But I always knew you're gonna get home, and here we are. This is Ithaca, baby. Then she lifts the magic mist, and Odysseus can finally see that it really is Ithaca. Yay! He's home! He's thrilled and freaking out, and he does a Katy Perry and kisses the ground in a weirdly performative expression of joy. Then he starts praying right in front of Athena and is like, oh, nymphs of Ithaca, I'm so glad to be home. If only my amazing and wonderful commander Athena, the goddess of smarts and clevers, will let me stay here and raise my son, I'll come and do so many sacrifices / beachside barbecues for you. And Athena's like, yeah, but seriously, we need to hide this treasure so we can plot some revenge murders, okay? Odysseus is super down for that. So they hide the treasure in the nymph caves, and then Odysseus and Athena come up with ways to revenge murder the suitors. Athena gives him a rundown of the state of the palace, and Odysseus is like, we're gonna break them like we did the shining crown of Troy, which okay, psycho. But Athena is super into it and is like, yeah, we're gonna splatter your floors with their blood and brains, which okay, psychos, I guess, plural. Anyway, Athena tells him that she's going to transform him into the scariest thing imaginable. So scary that everyone will shudder at the sight of him and not want to interact with him because they're so scared. What's she going to turn him into, you ask? an old beggar, which, like, rude, ageist much, classist much. She keeps going and telling him to go visit this swineherd who is just a slave, rude, but adores hot wife and sad son and will help Odysseus even in his horrific and terrifying disguise as an elderly human. She tells Odysseus to stay there with just a slave guy and gather intel. Meanwhile, she's going to go to Sparta to rescue Telemachus from his ringside seat so that Helena Menelaus' toxic marriage breakdown and tell him his semester at sea is over and it's time to come on home. Odysseus is like, wait, why didn't you tell him I was alive this whole time? Like, you knew. Why did you make him suffer and risk going to sea, which is, like, very dangerous and full of crazy sex islands and monsters? And she's like, oh, silly Odysseus. He was fine. I was watching him, sort of. He needed to win some glory. He needed to get out of here and have room to grow from sad boy to sad man. But don't worry, he's fine. Sure, the suitors are waiting to ambush and kill him, but they won't succeed, I think. Anyway, we'll kill him either. We'll kill the suitors either way. It's fine. Then, before Odysseus can ask any more annoying questions like, why can't you just make all this go away with your god powers, and why do we even need to do more murders, Athena taps him with her wand and he is transformed into the most terrifying creature in existence, a slightly dirty older person dressed in rags. She hands him a ragged satchel and walking stick and sends him on his way before taking off across the sea towards Sparta to go find Telemachus and bring that boy home. And that is where the chapter ends. Tune in next time to see what happens next. We are getting into the end game, guys. It is getting real. Anyway, I'll see you guys next for chapter 14.